Hey everyone, welcome to Mayhem and Masterplans. It's been a while.
Hello. How is it going?
Good. Andreas jumped in. He didn't want me to get us started in this episode.
We got to fill the pauses and the silence, and there was nothing happening. So I figured I'd get started.
Do you want
to take us away? Do you want to start again?
No. I thought you were just you were just too afraid for me to start singing again.
That is a risk.
Yes, it is always a risk. But nevertheless, I'm gonna relax today. I'm gonna lean back a little bit after some wild weeks. And I'm traveling again this week to Würzburg, where I'm going to be speaking at Transforming Media. I'm going to be I'm going to be in Berlin on Thursday and Friday for the German Startup Award. We're going to record a podcast there. It's going to be a black tie event, so let's see.
Even for the sound engineers.
Yeah, that's the big question for the production people, if it's black tie as well. I don't know. We're going to see. And then we did the OMR festival to the satisfaction of a lot of people and the dissatisfaction to just a few people.
That is guerrilla marketing about, right?
It's okay when our competitors hate us. That's totally fine.
No, that was fine. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've been up to. Anything exciting or interesting on your end, Andreas?
Go ahead, Andreas.
I mean, I spent the last 2 weeks on tour with the bands of two friends.
There you go.
And so completely out of my usual business bubble, completely different. I cleared my schedule. I think I had one single call, which was kind of a short notice, while I was sitting in the tour van and somebody else was driving. And other than that, I kind of dug up my old photography skills again and, created some content, as you call it these days. And, just generally helped move the tour along. And it was really insightful. It was fun. It was great to be out there with friends and new and old. But it was also really insightful from a business perspective, frankly. But I'm not sure we need to get into that today. Maybe that's something that either sprinkles in throughout the conversation or
topic for later episodes, right?
Exactly.
But it kind of is a topic that Simon suggested, right? Because it's something that I think is not just something that the startup industry has to deal with, but I think when it comes to like the creative industry, musicians and others like content creators, it's something that it's a question of if we have to do it or don't have to do it. But that's my kind of like
topic, right?
Exactly.
We have to reveal the topic.
We have to reveal the topic. It's your topic, so you go for it.
My kind of like bridge that I built you. Now, Simon, over to you. What is the topic that you brought today?
So we want to talk about, in this episode, about fake it until you make it. And it's something people say it is absolutely necessary if you want to start something. Pretend that you are bigger and better than you actually are. And somebody says, maybe it's from yesterday. Maybe we have to find another approach to get successful these days. And I'm not sure what was the idea or when I got the idea about this topic, but I thought maybe it's a good topic for our podcast. And because it's also something you can, it produces a lot of fun stories when it goes wrong, for example, or when
it also produces great stories when it goes right. I think
right, yeah.
I think in the best sense, the fake it until you make it approach can be a master plan. When it's well planned out and well executed, absolutely. People will look back on that and say, oh my God, these, terrific marketers, what an amazing, entrepreneur who built this up, who managed to establish this and do this or that. And when it goes wrong, it really is more like mayhem.
So I prepared a list. Maybe it's a list for the last 5 minutes. For a list of 5 cases where it got wrong.
When keeping it real goes wrong.
Nice.
To reference a Dave Chappelle skit from his early days Chappelle show. But the interesting thing about that is, and that's my question, do you know where that idea of fake it till you make it comes from?
No, I don't know. Do you know?
Well, I looked it up. Of course, I didn't know. But I could say just fake it till you make it. Of course, I knew. But
too late.
Now this whole episode is going to be like, do they really know? Did they just look it up? So that's kind of like where we left with. But I looked it up, and so it comes like it kind of like is attested to a song by Simon and Garfunkel called "Faking It" in the late '60s, but the general idea comes from a very interesting psychiatrist, Alfred Adler. I think he's one of the, he followed Freud, and came up with his own idea. He's Austrian, and so there's Freud, and then there's Adler, and there's Jung, who kind of like derive from them, from the Freudian ideas. And so what he came up with is a technique to help you get through stuff, and it's and just paraphrasing, so I'm not an expert on this, but it's a role play technique, saying like acting as if, asserting that. So you kind of like, and I like that idea. It's like fake it till you make it. It could also be, if you take it in a positive way, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want. Right.
I was just going to bring that one up. Exactly. There's plenty of examples of where, suggesting that you are more successful than you already are, manifesting something is the same kind of approach. The people who talk about they're manifesting their destiny, it's the same thing. It's you're acting as if something has already happened. You're willing it into existence, and thereby conjuring up some kind of success, whatever that might mean. In that
manifest
sense.
Destiny, a whole country has been built upon that, right?
Well,
so it's interesting that it kind of derived from like Europe, like Vienna, the Germanic or German kind of like perspective, which I think makes sense. You kind of have to make yourself bigger in a world where everybody is really negative and kind of like wants to keep you down. That idea, right? Because in a way, because why are we doing this, right? And I think to a certain extent is we're trying to make ourselves bigger and more successful, not just for our own sake. We're not doing it for ourselves, right? Because it doesn't help you in a sense.
No, we are doing it for the customers we want to attract, or the audience we want to attract.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what that is, right? Because people are, at least these days, are conditioned and drawn to success. They want to associate success. They want to be part of the in crowd. They want to know what's being talked about. So if you can evoke that sense of, oh my God, everybody is using this system, listening to this music, drinking this coffee, dressing that way, whatever it might be, you will get a bunch of people who are, perhaps undecided or not quite clear yet, or who, are just trying out something. In the sense of clothes, it might literally be people trying on what fits them, right? And that, in an abstract sense, that can apply to any kind of activity. And so this idea of projecting a level of success that is desirable to attract audiences, customers, followers, is I think a pretty old, example. So
Yeah. And will it go away in some point? Because so on social media, I think it's a lot like that, right? Pretending something you don't really are. And maybe is the zeitgeist now going into or will it be more let's keep it real and let's be authentic how you are and not like super fancy on Instagram or even the influencers who yeah who act like they are they are really like that, how they behave and how they're acting. It's
I
not really.
think there's different layers to it. I think when it becomes inherent in every category of our life, then it becomes a problem. But I think think about if we go through the different categories, like when it comes to dating, for example, of course, and I wouldn't recommend it. I would not, from day one on, to be 100% your true self. Because
you would not recommend that? Is what
I would
you're
not
saying?
recommend it. Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. It's the same in a job interview. You wouldn't be going out and telling everybody what you're not good at, what you might have but you're trying to sell the best version of yourself. That because I think what it would selling the best version of yourself keeps you active to kind of reach for that. If you're coming in with this is me, this is all me, and this is 100% me. There's no want or need to improve and better yourself, right? So
I think that's a really interesting aspect. Yes, you're right.
So if you're always selling this is 100% the person I am, then you're not making progress, because in a relationship you're trying you should be constantly evolving to a kind of a better version of you, or whatever. So I think in that sense, and you're trying to sell the best version of yourself, because over time you shouldn't fake it, and tell stories that aren't true. So there's a certain level of a city like Berlin is Berlin, but Berlin on a sunny day is a much prettier Berlin than with 2 degrees and rain. It's the same city, but it's not you wouldn't take a photo of the city and say come to Berlin.
It's the
right?
better version of.
It's the better
the
version
thing.
of, and we all do have that. So we have different facets to our personality, and so that's the version. In social media, it's the same thing. Whereas you can tell whatever story you want because it's social media. It's still a medium, right? It's kind of like a distorted reality. You're not gonna watch Lord of the Rings and be like, oh my God, I need to be afraid of orcs or something, because it's.
I wouldn't even think of it as distorted reality. I mean, sure, it can be distorted, but you can think of it more as selective reality, where it's really easy to leave a lot of things out and to focus on one particular thing. I don't know, the pretty dishes, or the wonderful house, or the great, I don't know, travels you do in social media often, or something like that. Right?
So it's a social aspect, but it's also a medium, and a medium is kind of like a storytelling tool, a narrative tool, and so it's, of course, it's not going to be it's scripted reality, so to speak, right? So that's kind of and then you need to kind of get into the audience needs to understand, am I watching something that is 100% real, or am I watching something that I need to interpret? It's the same with the Bible. Am I becoming a fundamentalist and just read the Bible as word by word, or am I just going to take it as kind of okay, I'm going to contextualize it to the time it was written? So I would say it's the same with social media. So it becomes more difficult than when you're in the dating scene. It's a one-on-one thing. Here becomes, and then when we move into the business world, I think there's stuff when it can kind of turn into a real mess, because then it involves money, and it involves the livelihood of people. Crypto scams.
at times the lives of people. Remember the movie Catch Me If You Can, right? If you're suddenly an airline pilot or a medical professional and you don't know what the hell you're doing, I mean, if your maximum amount of activity is to say I concur, that's kind of tough, you know?
Yeah.
So I prepared a list. I prepared a list where I think it's not my top 5, but my top 4 list about recent cases of fake it until you make it, and where it went wrong. So I will read that list, and then you can.
I'm really curious.
Comment.
Okay.
So here, top 4 is Charlie Jarvis, and she sold her startup to JP Morgan for $175 million US. Sadly, after the exit, JP Morgan found out, or I think there was a developer who leaked that the 4 million accounts, which are, or the users are fake accounts in that startup, and and now I think she's going to sue it. Yeah,
she's gonna get sued.
Yeah,
that seems reasonable. Because that is not fake it till you make it. That is just simple fraud. I'm sorry,
fake it, right? That's just fake it. That's nothing to do with fake it till you make it. That's just like you lied.
Yeah, maybe she thought one day we will have the 4 million users.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing. So yeah, you might have that, but then under that,
I'm sorry. Who did the due diligence on that? On the JP Morgan side? How the hell is that? Well, not. I mean, how is that even possible?
But then it's like you can't but that's just cheating. So that's just like being a criminal. So that's not fake it till you make it. I think the definition of fake it till you make it is kind of like you're over exaggerating. Maybe like you kind of like boosting the numbers. Maybe like how many of the 4,000 accounts were fake?
4 million, all of one. I think all.
Yeah, that.
If you had a trajectory building up that could be, interpreted as perhaps reaching 4 million at the end of the year, maybe you can.
Yeah, and you're at 2.5 million. But if you like add 0 and
yeah.
So
okay, so that was number 4.
Okay,
what's number 3?
4?
Yeah, maybe maybe you can understand him. So it is Albert Senninger, and he got 50 million from VCs, and his startup called Nate, and Nate is, I think, something. I think it was a fintech, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that his product is built on AI in 2018, I think. But the AI were just call center employees in Indonesia who did,
I think
who did all by hand.
I think I heard about that. Yes,
I think it's a New York startup.
It's kind of like
called?
Nate.
Okay.
NATE.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that. I mean, in all honesty, the idea to supplement automation and to supplement, machine learning, AI, whatever you want to call it, with some human in the loop is not new, and it's also not wrong, right? To not have any kind of technology when you claim it is, and to just have a bunch of people doing the work, like little green men in the box, that's, I mean, I guess
it was before
one way of selling
breakthrough
magic,
in AI, right? So he started before the breakthrough in AI, and maybe he was a bit overselling it, but yeah.
But there, like, if so, he raised 40 million, but like with that money, you could have built that software, right?
You would think.
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I'm
like from the idea, so he kind of like he kind of built a blueprint, right? So in a sense, he like they gave him money for that idea. So like in that sense, I would say like, okay, it's currently done manually by somebody. So, but I know what to do, right? The process works. That you order something and then you get it, and
yeah,
in between there's manual labor,
yes,
which is the part you want to cut out, but it works, right?
yeah.
So the general idea works. So there we're getting closer to the fake it till you make it, because you can say like, well, it kind of like now I like it won't work in this way, but if I subtract that and like the human component in that and really get an AI agent to do that, then it might work. And that's maybe what the 40 million should have gone into. And then it was,
I think, I don't know the details of this particular case. I remember hearing about it, but I have long since forgotten what I really read back then, and I didn't have time to read up on it right now. But I think it's also really easy for VCs in this particular case to claim fraud when they didn't do their due diligence. I mean, if they overeagerly invested in somebody promising AI magic at a time when AI magic just wasn't there yet, and they either didn't understand the technology well enough to understand where it was at, and or this particular founder just found it very easy to kind of sell more of the dream than already existed. I'm not excusing him. If he did tell his investors that AI was doing the work, or that he had a practically working AI system to do this, and he didn't, then yeah, that's fraud. But
it is. But then again,
for the customer to kind of prove out the concept, to build this out on basis of manual labor first, to just kind of fine-tune the actual user experience, and to then backfill that with technology, I think is a fair approach.
Yeah.
And I think there was something in Germany as well, right?
I'm sure there was
a startup where you could order stuff about WhatsApp or something like that, and then it was before the quick commerce hype, and then they bring you the order to where you want to have it. And I think it was also they said, yeah, okay, it is AI, or it will be AI, and yeah, please invest in our startup. So, but it was also,
but that's a very different argument. It's like it is AI or it will be AI.
It will
because,
be AI.
because again,
Yes.
due diligence is a thing where you're like
nobody
nobody
right?
proved, like nobody asked him to show me code or get like because again,
I
like
will say,
we got
I will say
involved,
about
like
this,
we
though.
were asked to kind of check for software, right? Like we have been invited to kind of like do due diligence, and then people would check code, or we were invited to kind of like vouch for somebody where we had some inside knowledge. So I think like if you're that bad at doing due diligence and not understanding it, like show me the algorithm, show me the code that is doing it, like you can't see it, and then you don't do it, then it's just like in the end it's like, well, you know what, you kind of maybe you deserve to get scammed, like it's not right, but then like
It's also, remember the times when everything needed to be built on blockchain, right? You needed to somehow bend and twist and turn your product into something that ran on the blockchain to find any investor to be somewhat interested in it, right? And you're throwing up your hands and saying, we have a great product idea, we have a great service idea, we're halfway there, we need an investment to get us all the way there, but these people just don't want to listen until the word blockchain somewhere pops up. Okay, so fine, so we'll drizzle in some blockchain. And then 2 years later, it's AI. It's the same
that's
thing with
exactly,
the buzzword.
and
It's
that's
fucking
kind of like
buzzword bingo.
where it's fake it till you make it, kind of like where it turns into like the social media variant of it, where it's like you all need to tell a story. Like when you start a company, you're not talking about the company and what you're solving, like the use case, and that you might have a great product or that you have a great service. Like think about how many startups out there are getting funding if they're building hardware, if they're building an actual product. That rarely happens. Very few, because like I need, like it needs to scale. It needs to scale. It's like, but what for? and then so it's not like so you're trying to tell, like, if you're today, so we're in 2025 and you're trying to get funding, if you don't have anything AI related in your narrative, probably the chances are quite low that you get investment. So you have to kind of like
cook up something
with an AI aspect.
Yeah.
Then it comes like and then the second part, and that's generally the case, you have to kind of like the hockey stick narrative that we all know. So of course with that, like, you're doing a projection, and of course you're going to fake it. I want to see the number of business cases that went exactly the way they were planned with that hockey stick, and how much of it was like the fake it till you make it, like the projection that then needed to be
projection
adjusted.
is a projection. A projection is not faking it, right? Faking it would be to say, okay, we're here and it's actually somewhere else.
Yeah, it's faking, but it's a projection. But you kind of like fake it till you make it. So you kind of like tell a story, whereas like, yeah, we're doing like, where maybe in your head, realistically from a market perspective, you can grow to 5 million in 5 years, but that doesn't sound too great. So you say like, well, a projection is a projection. I cannot lie about it, because it's like, I'm not going to be liable. So why not turn that 5 into 10 to be more attractive? So you're kind of faking it, and hope that you're going to grow into kind of like that assumption. It's the same with like it's the same with evaluation of a company. You give $1 billion evaluation. It's, of course, it's fake it till you make it. You kind of like, you're not at that revenue to justify it, but everybody kind of like bought into the idea and say like, we're all going to fake it till we make it, or we're just going to, crap out. So, like I said, in that context, I think it's a lot of times like, and we've been in this market a little bit now. In a lot of ways, I think it's counterproductive to really creating great companies. It's counterproductive to really bringing out great ideas, investing into great ideas, investing into great teams, in really investing into something that can generate revenue. What in the end, like real revenue, like this, like we're trying to build something similar to a stock market, which is, a sort of like a.
I agree, Max. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. Ultimately, the buzzword hypes, be they blockchain or AI or whatever it might be next, are counterproductive to really supporting a great ecosystem of great products and services that really change the world and that really make a difference. And that is a problem. That's a huge problem, not just for investors, but also for citizens and customers and audiences.
Yeah.
All right, Simon, number 2, what's on your list?
My internet connection was a bit lagging.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I said, what's number 2 on your list?
Yeah, number 2. So speaking of buzzwords, so when software as a service was a thing, I think it was, 2014 or 15, someone created or twisted the SaaS, software as a service term, to space as a service. And it was the infamous Adam Newman with WeWork. So because I think he was in a situation where he thought, maybe shit, I only get the VC funding when I have something with SaaS in my in my narrative.
In your name.
So let's twist software as a service as space as a service.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think, first of all, I love WeWork. I love the idea. I love the concept. I love the utility of it for people like me who travel a lot and want to do business across the world and in various spots, and who want to flexibly go into a space, or in a small company that wants to scale up and that doesn't really want to deal with all the operational details of having a space and maintaining a space. I think something like WeWork is fantastic. That said, they clearly, overdid it. They clearly acquired too much space. I mean, they also got a little unlucky. So the whole pandemic, of course, kind of cut in there a little bit. But even before then, they already had issues, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I would say a number of issues.
Okay, fine, a number of issues. But I think there was more there. I think it was just badly managed on many ways. I think the idea, it's to me, WeWork. So when you say we fake it until you make it, I wouldn't immediately think of WeWork. I would have other examples on my list. WeWork just struck me as an overhyped and badly managed, badly run company.
But like, I think from the beginning, it that's where you like fake it till you make it. Of course, like they made it at some point. They kind of like oversold like what they have. Like when you hear the whole story, they had like a small space, but they kind of like sold an idea of a community when there was no community existing. But that's what they grew into. So I think to a certain level, they did it really well of like overselling an idea of a shared desk kind of like scenario and making themselves bigger than they were. I think a good example, like the same way Microsoft did it. Microsoft was selling something bigger, like back in the day, like as a system to Apple, I think was it or something like in the early days they were selling like the software that they didn't have, but they knew okay, I'm going to build it by the time they're going to buy my contract, and they did and delivered on that. And I think with WeWork, they kind of built this thing that like probably was a great product, as you mentioned, and that was probably a great company. But then it kind of like got mingled up with that VC play again, and you need to tell a different story to get more funding. And it wasn't kind of like saying like, you know what we are, and like we need other funding, we need a different narrative, we need a kind of like different investors. But they kind of like tried to squeeze into that bubble of like, yeah, like we need software, we need SaaS, we need all that kind of thing. So I'm trying to squeeze myself into a narrative to get money from people where I would like, they could have gone to a bank or do something else, or to like they could have gone to different places, but they wanted to tell that story of startups and all that kind of stuff. So like that's when it kind of shifted, right, from fake it till you make it to just faking it until it's like almost
Too big
at
to
the
fail.
point. And when it's almost at the point where it's like, is this illegal? Right, where it's like when faking it, when it's just faking it, then it's illegal, right?
Yeah,
like Theranos.
that's fraud.
That's fraud.
That
exactly.
is the definition of fraud, right? When you're
But
just
you know,
faking it.
and that's the kind of thing. So let's get to number one, and then I want to hear from you where you faked it till you maked it.
Yeah, number one, I think it's so vicious, right? It's Theranos, Elizabeth Holmes, and
That's fraud. That's not fake it till you make it. That's fraud.
At first, it was fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I think it was first fake it until you make it, until a point where they where there's no return, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then it got really, really nasty for her.
Yeah, it got nasty for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think for like it doesn't just destroy her reputation, but it also kind of destroys the idea of like, think about if you really come up with an idea today, that kind of solves this issue. It's going to be so difficult for you to get money. Think about like our space, how difficult today it would be for an audio company to get funding after the disaster of like Clubhouse and some others, right? It's like people are just like over it, and so it becomes difficult from like a few things that not like Clubhouse. It wasn't like a problem that it was, you know, it was just like it kind of blew up. It kind of fell down. The investment didn't get returned, so people are like, well, let's get out of that space. So that kind of destroys the reputation for an entire industry. But the interesting case would be, because I like the first part. I generally like the idea of saying like, I believe in the idea. I give you money to try it out, because like it's kind of like R&D, right? You like that's what research companies do, like or where you invest into R&D, where you discover a new medicine or something. So
absolutely,
discover a new product.
R&D and VC are very closely related, right?
So, exactly, and in that sense, saying like, I give you money, and let's take the evaluation and everything out of it to the point where it's like, okay, you need that kind of money to build a company, like to the point where it has a product market fit, where it generates revenue. And then from that point on, so we have kind of like found a solution. And from that point on, we kind of like get into the mode of like developing it. And ideally, it doesn't have to be in 3 years, because it might take 5 years. It might take 7 years. So a very different approach to like, I give you money first initially without, evaluation, just to do R&D on a certain segment. What now like companies are doing, like venture clienting or venture building from like a corporate perspective. It's kind of like that approach. But then again, I think they have the wrong people to do it, because like it's tough if you don't have the founder mentality coming out of a corporate to do it. But like financing that way. So Theranos investing in that and saying like, hey, we believe in you. But what would have been the story if after 5 years or 7 years, they would have come back and said like, you know what? This is not working. We just didn't come to a valid solution, and they would be like, okay, that's our investment. It's gone. It's gone now. Well,
but and I also see they so the whole Theranos, the leadership team was more or less forced into, so let's building it up, right? Building a pyramid scheme, and let's try to
scam our way
to scam. So maybe we will have the breakthrough in the future. So and to get into the future, we need more money. So let's make up the whole thing, right? So I can see definitely that. And then until a point where it was then just fraud, and also I think a bit dangerous for every participant there. And
exactly. So I think I think what became clear is like, fake it till you make it is something where you kind of like promise something, but at some point you need to cash in on that promise, right? You can promise something today, you need to deliver. So like, fake it till you make it. I give you an example from my private life. Back in 2008, I ran a marathon, and I was helping as like a whatever they are called, like the people helping around the event the year before. And I said, you know what, next year I'm going to run a marathon, and I'm going to run a full marathon, and I'm going to do it, and of course I'm going to make it. By that time, no training, never ran a marathon, but I was so convinced and told everybody that I'm going to do it and that I'm going to make it. So I kind of like faked my experience, right? And be like, this is going to work, and like I know, and I'm going to train. So but then the year afterwards, I ran it. And of course, I didn't hit my target of like running under 4 hours. I just went slightly over 4 hours. But it was like, I made it, maybe not as promised, but very, very close to it. And I think that's kind of like from a personal life where you kind of tell that story. Where I think that's kind of like fake it till you make it is kind of like the scenario that I would go with. Andreas, Simon, do you have an experience like that?
I think I've been thinking about this just the last few minutes after you mentioned that you would call us on that. I think over the years I've had a number of experiences where I knew that I could do something, I just hadn't done it yet, or I hadn't done it yet in a professional scenario. So, for example, early on in my professional life, before I actually became an employed and paid for professional photographer, I already knew that I could deliver. I could do this. I could, I don't know, cover an event. I could deliver those images in the right way, shape, and form. But nobody had given me a chance to prove that yet. So I, at some point had to kind of sweet talk my way into these scenarios and probably also suggest to people along the way that sure, I had experience and sure, I had done this before, when in reality I hadn't, right?
Yeah.
But I just knew that this wasn't a risk, that I knew I could do this if you just let me. And so I think there is on a personal level, there's a little bit of a connection with imposter syndrome. You have to overcome, if you have it, you have to overcome this imposter syndrome sometimes in order to really deliver something or prove to yourself that you can deliver something, right? I think in a professional scenario, I'd be a lot more careful with that. I don't know, for example, with my company, when we go out and kind of prototype new products or new services, we suggest obviously that we can deliver that, but we also go out and find, partners to kind of run a test with, beta testers, if you will, where it is somewhat understood that we haven't done this before, that we're testing it out on you or something like that. I think that's fair. And then to the rest of the world on a website, it might look like, we have done plenty of these things. When in reality, it's just kind of right off the development line. But I think this kind of faking it until you make it, you're not really faking it. You're just kind of making people believe in you enough that they give you a chance to prove yourself. In most scenarios and in most instances, I would say. And this could be, in hobbies or in early work or something else. So long-winded answer, but what about you, Simon?
Yeah. I don't think that I have a good example where I faked it until I made it.
Yeah.
Until I made it.
Do
I'm
you have a
more.
bad
So you said
example?
about. Sorry.
Do you have a bad example?
What?
You said I don't have a good example.
Yeah.
Maybe you have.
No, I think I'm more on the imposter syndrome side, right? Where I'm quite scared about being uncovered, right? That I promised something which I haven't.
You're a
delivered.
perfectionist.
Yeah, I'm
At
not sure
heart.
if I'm a
I wouldn't
perfectionist.
say that, but I think like the interesting part is, so I think that's how you need to build a company. Like if you build a company around just maxes, it will be like it would just be like we're going to promise everything and then it's going to be delayed. We're going to get you there, but it's going to be delayed. It's going to be terrible for everybody like trying to build it. It's kind of like the way like Jeff Bezos kind of like, not that I want to compare myself to Jeff Bezos, but
I was just going to say, nice. Nicely snuck in.
but no, where like I like the story where it's like, yeah, they were selling books and then like for Christmas they were taking orders and orders and they were waiting way too many orders, like and then everybody, like his parents, everybody kind of need to like double down, do like shifts for like 24 hours to just get it done. Which was not fun for everybody, but they made it happen. So that was kind of like you were kind of like building yourself up to taking, of course we can take this order, where you realistically where 5 maxes would say like of course, and everybody would say of course, and then it would just like go boom. Where if you have a company of 5 Simons, they could probably take 200 orders, but they were like, yeah, but are we really sure? And realistically we can. So realistically, if I really look at the numbers, we can take 10 orders to not just go blow out of proportion. And then he was like, to be sure, let's make it 8. And then you would just tell your customer, no, we can't take any more orders, even though you probably could. So I think it's exactly that balance that gets you to the point where it's like, like somebody like, and I think you need that structure to do fake it till you make it. You have something where you overpromise but then overdeliver, right? That's where you want to. That's where your sweet spot is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to underpromise, overdeliver. It's like you always do that. Then you're going to be the kid in school saying like, I probably have a C, and then I got an A. So everybody hates that person, and you don't want the person saying like, I'm probably going to have an A, and then it's going to be a C, right? So you want to kind of like overpromise. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna have an A, and then get that A. right? That's kind of like
I
where you
think
want to get.
this is a really nice, succinct way of looking at it. Overpromise and overdeliver is something that most people don't put into the same sentence, right? But yes, that's a fantastic approach, and it goes back to this: in your heart, you know that you can overdeliver.
Yeah.
So you promise more than there is today, but you know you'll be able to even surpass those expectations. You just need somebody to believe in you enough to give you a chance. That's the best kind of fake it till you make it, which you need only once, and then you made it. That's the
Yeah.
whole point. You do this once, and then you made it, and then you're there.
Yeah. And I think that's so coming from L'Oreal, where I used to work, they were kind of doing these tours where everybody like hated everybody hated those tours where like you had the senior leadership coming in and you kind of like try to show off the best possible way of presenting your product and everything. So, but then I had the chance to talk to one of those people, and it's like, you know what? You're not doing this for me. You're doing it for yourself, because if you did it once, like the really outperforming yourself and doing something amazing, that is like, oh, this, like, then you did it once and then you know how to repeat it. And you know where the gold standard is. So overpromising is kind of like where you're setting your bar, again, coming back to the beginning, where you're setting the bar really high to really improve yourself and not just say like, oh, this is what we can deliver. You can get this. And then you get it. It's reliable. It's okay. But then it's boring. So we're going to promise more, and then we're going to achieve that. So we kind of like made a step forward. Yeah. Very well. Very well.
I think overpromise and overdeliver is a fantastic title for our episode today.
Yes. Well, where clickbaiting would be fake it till you make it, but we do overpromise, overdeliver. Let's close off with your favorite song that you just listened to.
Well, in fact, I just listened to a song that fits well with this theme. It is called Act 5 Greatness. It's by my friends of Serapis Project, who I've been on tour with recently. And it just ties off this entire theme wonderfully.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So my last song I've heard you is Safe and Sound from a DJ. So it's SYEYL, Syel or something like that. I don't know.
If you need a pronunciation guide for your artist's name, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. All right. I listened to Kendrick Lamar, Whacked Out Murals. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you, Simon, for the topics. Thank you, Andreas, for always your great insights. And thank you, myself, for being here.
Thank you. So,
nice one. Nice
until
one.
Next time.
This has been
fun.
Mayhem and Masterplans.
There you go. There you go.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.